course, Emmy was very important in our love and our relationship forever. But equally, who was responsible, in my opinion, for the quality of our relationship is your mother, Wawa. When I met Wawa first time, she immediately won my heart. Of course, Wawa was special because Wawa always won hearts of every stray dog and cat, so I was just one of those. But she was probably the kindest person I ever met. At least that's what I think. And I know she had a huge impact, of course, on your upbringing, but she had huge impact on her grandchildren. Not only that she loved them, but she spent a lot of time with them. I don't want to go to, I think that as we are doing these memories, that we are mostly, the best is talk about little stories attached to those people or to us that we'll describe instead of trying to say she was born in 1916 and she went to this school and that. So I love all the stories you tell, but today we'll start with Wawa's story about packing your lunches in Cleveland, Ohio.
Okay, well, my mother packed our lunches for all our school years. And they were very good lunches. She made a killer tuna fish, and usually she would bake a dessert for dinner, and so leftover desserts got put in the lunch. They were good. She also liked to clown around, and she used our lunches as one way to be funny with us. And so one day she took a box of dog yummies and dumped it in a plastic bag and put it in my lunch. and then handed me my lunch as I was going out the door, and I didn't know anything about it till I opened it at lunchtime. And the kids where I was sitting thought this was very funny. And they started throwing the dog yummies around. And one of them happened to hit Miss Barsoomian, who was the girls' vice principal, in the ass. She had a big ass. And so she was so angry, and she dragged the kid that did it to her office. And the kid is sitting there saying, and where did you get those? Well, Beth McHugh had them. And so I get summoned to Miss Barsoomian's office. And she said, I'm told that you brought dog yummies to school. And I said, well, yeah, I did, but I didn't do it on purpose. My mother put them in my lunch, and I didn't know about them. Oh, my. You must have a very funny mother. Yeah. So she called my mother, and in a very condescending way, asked her if she'd put dog yummies in my lunch. And Wawa copped to it, of course. Then Miss Barsoomian gave her a lecture on how dangerous the dog yummies were, that some child might eat them and get sick. So my mother freaked out. She drove down to the local pharmacy and she brought the dog yummies with her and she handed them to the pharmacist and she said, "Will you tell me if there's any ingredient in there that could make a human being sick?" And he looked through it and he said, "No, no, this is all edible and there is no problem." Uh, that was one. I remember she put a candle in once and said if the electricity goes out, I could still have a romantic lunch.
Did she add some?
No, no matches.
So how would you
I
turn
don't
it on?
know, but
I think it's cute. I mean,
yeah,
yeah.
she knew enough that she'd really get in big trouble if she sent the matches. Now, what she did to my brother and sister was they would get invited to somebody's house to spend the night.
Mhm.
And she would pack their suitcases for them. And when they'd get to the other kid's house, they'd open the suitcase and it would be filled with toys. Nothing to change into to sleep or anything. Dolls, stuffed rabbits. And so they had to call her and tell her to please bring over something for them to wear. And they didn't want to repeat. Once you've done it to them once, you know. So they would, when they got to the door and mom handed them the suitcase, they would say, "First, I want to open it to see what's in there." And my mother would fight them over it, you know, physically. What do you mean? There's nothing, you know. Then they got to the point where they just told my mother that they were going to pack their own suitcase, and thanks very much for the help. So she used to open the back door and scream out, "Harry Emmons," who was a kid who used to live down her street when she was a little girl. She did something called the Mabel Nut Dance almost every night. She claimed that the bottom of her feet itched, and we had a long hall that had carpeting, and she would go up and down that hall, scraping her feet and moving her ass, and it was to it was to relieve the itching feet.